we'll come back and deal with what has to be done for this revocation of the LI that allows mining in forest reserves. There's a whole conversation about whether by the president directing the minister it should be enough, or whether parliament has a role to play in terms of allowing the revocation to go through a specific kind of process. I'm getting an alert of galamsey happening. Bernard, avid galamsey in Asem Krom and Ngakain, Ngakain. Sounds in Zima. Asem Krom and Ngakain are farming communities located in Awin municipality in the western north region. This is not far from Jema, where the priest is. They are the last two towns of the municipality at the boundary with Jomoro. Asem Krom is about 18 kilometers from Elubo, and Ngakian is about 2 from Asem Krom. Both towns are located along the Elubo NG N12 road. And it says there are over six excavators doing illegal mining in Asem Krom and 2 doing mining at Ngakain. They have armed guards, so the local patriotic youth are afraid to confront them. So this is an alert being sent to us to announce. So we're asking the people who are in charge of the military program, which, by the way, we understand took place on both the Birim and the Pra. And on Sunday, I saw some, they call them pins goers. Is that the name of those vehicles? I saw quite a number on the near somewhere in Accra. I think they were going on an operation. I don't know whether they were also going to mining, but there were like 8 of them. I think it was Sunday morning. Quite a number of them with armed people. So I don't know. We will be following up on what the army is doing with the galamsey. And also, what I want to do for you this morning is to bring you highlights of an interview. Because you see, there are people who think that the organized labor should have waited for the LI to be revoked before calling up their intended strike. Some people think that if we hand over the revocation of the LI to just Parliament, they may play some games with it because they are the same people who passed it. All right. So Clement Akapam is a lawyer and also the Ghana principal for an environmental firm called Client Earth. He was on the big issue this weekend to give his opinion on how he felt the government should go about this revocation to make it quick. In his view, the executive have a bigger role to play than the legislature. And he was speaking to Selo Madonna over the weekend. Let's hear the highlights.
This LI, when it first surfaced, we were one of the few to start raising issues on the basis for this LI, particularly an LI to regulate mining in forest reserves coming from the Environmental Protection Agency. We have held a very strong view that the EPA lacked the legislative capacity to even have this LI passed in the first place. So we have been very critical of this LI. And for us, when we saw the advocacy going on, and then one of the issues was calling for the revocation of this LI, we thought that it was a call in the right direction. And we're happy that, yes, the law will be revoked, but we need to understand and put this in context. The LI on mining in forest reserve only sets the procedural conditions contained in your license or the steps that you must take to get a license to mine a forest reserve. So those holding licenses to mine in the forest reserve have licenses issued under our mineral and mining legal framework. So once we revoke this LI, what we would have done is that the conditions contained therein in those licenses would have been revoked. What is important for me is, one, the procedure being adopted to revoke, and also the consequential effect of any revocation. So in the debate we're having, which led to the writing of that article, the point I'm trying to raise is that when it comes to LIs, the Supreme Court is clear that the maker of the LI is the agency or authority that introduced the LI. So within our constitutional framework, the maker of an LI cannot be said to be Parliament. So that if we wish to revoke an LI, I think that once the LI has passed Parliament, it means that Parliament has given tacit approval to the LI. So if we want to revoke, the minister or the agency in charge of implementing that LI just needs to give a notification to Parliament that we are ceasing implementation. We no longer intend to implement this operational guidelines or legislative instruments that passed Parliament. The question is, once the cessation occurs, can another minister come and say, oh, I still see this on our books, so I want to implement it? That's where we're asking that when that notification is sent to Parliament, that statement made on the floor should be gazetted, and that gazette should be evidence of the revocation. Now, I don't think that we should complicate this revocation process, because if we complicate it as well, then what we want to achieve, which is revoking this LI timeously to remove those conditions granted. So one of the conditions is you have a forest entry permit, you satisfied an environmental impact assessment to enter into the forest to mine. Once we are not acting timeously, quote unquote, these persons will have the ability to continue mining. So the argument is simple. We shouldn't adopt any complicated, fanciful procedure. The Supreme Court is clear that the maker of an LI is the agency that introduced the LI. If the agency indicates that they no longer wish to implement it, they notify Parliament, and then, as Parliament will do, help take steps to gazette that it has been revoked. So going to Parliament with a revocation LI, will it lie in Parliament for another 21 days? Can Parliament stop that revocation? We don't want that complication. And we are in this situation because we've not had a time like this where you're seeing LIs being revoked. Normally what will happen is that an LI will be replaced with another LI that gives better or enhanced legislative explanations or legislative authority to agencies. Or you have an act coming into force to repeal LIs and giving new life to new LIs. But this is a very novel situation where you're having an LI that we want to stop operationalizing. We don't want it on our books anymore. So how do we deal with it? And I think that that simple process of the minister notifying in a statement in the House and indicating in that statement what consequential and interim measures are being put in place in relation to licenses and conditions contained therein in those licenses. I think that is the quickest approach. In the future, we might decide on looking at how to do this through a more robust instrument like an act. But now that we don't have anything, I think that this is something that we can look to quickly take this thing out of our statute books.
Very well. So before you go, just to ask a layman question, what happens to all licenses which were issued under this regime? They were genuinely issued, which meant that they were acting under law when these licenses were issued. What happens to them? Does it mean that these licenses now become illegal, they fail? Or they can say because at the time they were issued, the law on mining in forest reserve was the law, and so it was genuinely issued, so they will continue using it. What would they do? What becomes of the rights of persons who were granted licenses under that regime, or under the regime as we speak?
Right, Salom, you rightly know that once it's issued whilst the law was law, those who are holding it will have what we will call accrued rights and stuff like that. So the next important thing after revocation or along revocation is to cancel all such licenses that were issued pursuant to the LI and mining and forest reserves. That's the only thing. Otherwise, those licenses within the legal framework are valid licenses. So the consequential measures I speak of in that article are measures that the minister responsible for environment must tell us in that statement before Parliament what they intend to do with those licenses. The number of licenses that have been issued pursuant to that LI, the cancellation, and then what the next steps are. I think that this is where we stand at the moment. Yeah.
I see. Finally. When a lawyer says finally, you should expect another finally. finally. What happens? What is the consequence of that? I genuinely acquired a license. Now, for some reason, you want to cancel it. What remedy do I have? What can I do? What can be done for me?
So the one who thinks that he's holding that license, he should look for his lawyer and he should go to court.
Thank you. I see.
And then argument. No, seriously, Salam, because this debate is not. It is an issue of our livelihoods, or as against someone's independence benefit. The court will weigh all these things. So please, it's not. If that individual says, "Oh, I had my license, it's been cancelled," I think that has been done wrongly. The courts are there. We can use the courts to also to get clarity on this. But it has not stopped the minister from saying that we revoked this law. We gave certain conditions in this law, so consequentially, we are also cancelling your licenses because the law that sets those conditions are no longer operational. So.
Clement Kojo Akapam speaking on the big issue. His conclusion is that the authority to revoke LI 2462 lies with the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. A simple procedure of notifying Parliament through a statement on the floor of the House should be enough to revoke the LI. Any fanciful procedural niceties of laying a revocation LI would lead to absurdities. The statement notifying Parliament of revocation of the LI must also contain information on the consequential and interim measures in the case of the LI, the effect of any mining licenses that have been issued pursuant to the LI. We may require legislation in the future to clarify the procedure for revoking LIs. Kenya in 2013, to address similar concerns, passed the Statutory Instruments Act 2013 to clarify the procedure for making annulment, revocation and repeal of statutory instruments under the Kenya Act. There is automatic revocation of statutory instruments 10 years after passage unless repealed or its lifespan is extended. We may need to bring clarity on the procedures concerning the making of statutory instruments. Now, this is important because the president's statement signed by his spokesperson said that the president had directed the minister to begin the procedure for revoking the LI. And Mr. Akapam is saying the minister just needs to go to Parliament to read out a statement saying the government wants to revoke the LI and Parliament should cooperate. This is important because some people feel the parliamentary procedure of having to lay something, a new LI to replace it, is going to take too long, and it may even be a cop-out because Parliament doesn't even have 21 sitting days and all of that. So that's one of the things that has come up, which will be, as you said, an important part of the tracking, because, you know, the demands that were made, the most important was that of emergency, which a lot of people felt the advocates should not have backed down. Somehow they have agreed, of course, that organized labor have been the ones meeting the government. They have agreed that with the new military reinforcement of Operation Halt and with the revocation of the LI plan, that is enough to call off the strike. So now there has to be a follow-through on whether they actually revoke the LI. And there seems to be some legal gymnastics going on as to what way to do it.
Yeah, because if you look at today's newspapers, everybody's reporting on. There's Godfrey Debo Adame's faces on every front page this morning, because looks like he has been saddled with the responsibility of maneuvering this through the various processes. And as the lawyer of the state, one would assume that he knows
he will have the responsibility legally,
and also the know-how as to how this will be done. So this opinion of the procedure that is required to do this from Clement Akapam, who also knows his beans when it comes to these things, is interesting. So the question then would be, is this a path that the Attorney General considered? Why did he choose the path that he's embarking on as compared to this one, where he could perhaps had just advised Madam Hayford Mensah, Ophelia Hayford Mensah, that look, you can go to Parliament, do A, B, C, D, and that would be enough, rather than this whole dance that is about to happen, filled with symbolic gymnastics and power play and debates. Everybody will have a say. When
there'll probably be a debate around which government was worse with fighting galamsey.
When perhaps all that is required is. So it will be interesting to hear the opinion of the Attorney General on why this option is tenable or not. And the path that he's on is the quicker one. And if there's one thing I do like about the Attorney General, it is his willingness to engage.
So hopefully he will speak to this matter.
Yes, he will speak to this matter. He's very willing to normally explain his positions on matters. So maybe it will be interesting why he feels the procedure he is undertaking is a far more effective one than this one, which looks like could solve the problem within 24 hours.
There's another issue. Here's a member of parliament, Edward Bauer, sending me a message. He says, our laws do not operate retroactively. When LI 2462 was enacted, individuals leveraged the law to secure mining rights in forest areas. The revocation of the LI does not nullify these rights. This has led to calls for a state of emergency in the affected regions, enabling the president to temporarily suspend these rights. As a result, the revocation alone will not halt mining activities in the forest areas. And I think everybody accepts this, that if somebody has a license to mine a forest reserve, merely revoking the LI does not invalidate the license. So how is government going to stop somebody who has a genuine license to mine in a forest reserve from doing this? And we are not sure how that's going to be done. And that's a question the government has to answer. Because the point of revoking the LI is to say we're not going to give new licenses. But are you going to say that old existing licenses too have to be terminated? If they are, what are the remedies? All right. And I feel the government has to explain to us going forward what they will do with that. There have been two statements issued by the information minister and then the spokesperson to the president, both of which have said that the LI will be revoked. But neither has commented on this very important issue. Because if you even have 10 people with licenses to mine in forest reserves, that continues the distraction we are asking to be stopped. So there has to be some comment on that from the government. So what we'll say is that watch this space. Bring you a few quick announcements and then we'll give you an update on what's happening with the military action. As I said, I have people say from Thursday they saw lots of military vehicles moving towards the eastern region. All right. And we did confirm some operation on the Birim and the Pra.
But the president was also in the eastern region.
For the Ochihinis 25th. Which what I'm trying to find out is how do we ensure that this is not a 9-day wonder? Because Fred Dua was with the team when they went to the Birim.
Let me be blunt.
Go ahead.
I'm not convinced by this operation they are running.
Talk to me.
One bit.
Why not?
We've seen it before. We've seen 7 different versions of this operation. Nothing about this operation reeks new. Nothing about this operation reeks sustainable. Nothing about this operation reeks of we learned lessons from the previous one. We've heard the story. We've burnt 18 chamfans. 5 years ago, we were burning chamfans. We have burnt excavator.
So it seems like a show to you.
We are burning excavators. We've done all these things before.
So are you talking about its sustainability or just
I am talking about its impact. The time for show and tell went a long time ago. The show is too much. We want a proper solution to this thing. Okay, doing these things and cutting journalists along at cost is not.
It's not the way to go.
We've seen it before. We've seen it before.
Let me find out from Fred Duho the state of that. I don't know what to call it, a campaign or exercise. So Fred, thanks for joining us. Remind me, was it Thursday or Wednesday that you went with the team to the River Birim area?
We're there on Thursday.
Good. Did they go back on Friday as well?
No, they returned to Accra and moved straight to the central region, specifically on the River Pra.
So Thursday was for Birim, Friday was for River Pra.
Yes.
Did they go with the media for the Friday, or that one they went alone?
They went alone. So the very first day, they were in the company of the media, but the subsequent events are all being done by the team without the media.
Do they send you footage of what they do so you can report to your listeners? Or they just showed you the first one as example?
I am personally in touch with the commander on the ground, and he's been giving me updates. I don't know about other media personnel though, but on our part, we are in touch with the commander and getting the updates. So this morning, for instance, I reached out to him to get the update as to what they've been up to over the weekend and where they intend going today. And he sent me the details as to what they've done over the weekend and what the action will be from today going. And
so are you able to tell us what happened over the weekend? So Thursday it was Birim, Friday was Pra. Did they do anything over the weekend?
Yes, over the weekend they were on the sorry, I am under the weather, so forgive me. Over the weekend they were on the Pristia Nakaba area where they burnt 33 grinding machines, 27 water pumps, 23 chamfans, 3 chamfan boards, and a motorbike was destroyed. 9 suspects arrested. That is the information he gave me with regards to what they did on the around the Pristia area.
And this was over the weekend.
Yes, this.
Can you go over those numbers again?
33 grinding machines, 23 water pumps, let me take it over again. 33 grinding machines, 27 water pumps, 23 chamfans, 3 chamfan boards, and motorbike destroyed. 9 suspects arrested.
And the area is called what?
Pristia Nakaba.
Over the weekend. And this is different from what was done in the Birim on Thursday and the Pra on Friday.
Exactly. And on the same, then they moved to the Asaman in the Asin Fosu district. Specifically on the River Pra, they said 10 chamfans and 7 water pumps destroyed. A locally manufactured single-barrel gun, BB cartridge, and a set of tools seized. This particular report, I got it on, that was on Friday, and this report has been filed. So the weekend one was the one I mentioned with the 33 grinding machines earlier, but the Asaman one happened on Friday.
Do you know if they leave men on the river bodies? So when they went to Birim on Thursday, do they leave people there to police the area, or they go to the next station? And number 2, do they send you evidence of what they've done? Because you were there only on Thursday. Now they are telling you that they've done all these things. How are you going to confirm that they did indeed destroy 37 grinding machines and the rest of it? I
mean, that is the right question to ask. The videos he's shared with me, the footages he's shared with me, in actual fact depicts men in uniform. Some I have seen on the very first day of the operation. In this video, setting a number of machines or mining equipment on fire. Again, I see men in this particular video the commander shared with me on these navy boats trying to sail across to, the destination I can't really determine by just watching the video, but I see men in uniform on this navy boat moving on the river, and he noted that this is the Pra River to be specific.
Do you get indication that they will continue this week?
They are continuing, and the exercise would come to an end. Hopefully, that will be Thursday if the 2 week they've given them is something to go by. That'll be next week Thursday. Sorry. So coming this week Thursday would be a week since they started the operation. Then the next week would come to a halt for the first phase of the operation.
And do they leave men where they go, or their team moves to the next location? This is an important point. I don't know if you have that information.
What they do is to distribute in groups. So the very first day that I can speak to, which is the Thursday, we're in 3 groups. I was part of a group made of 37 men with the commander involved. And the other men also went to other locations. And now, going forward, I understand they are carrying through with the same modus operandi where they basically distribute into various groups. But when they are done for the day, they all come to base and then they decide where to move the following day. And that they do not disclose in their interviews because they don't want to give hints to the people in the next location as to their line of operations.
So when they send you these videos, they basically give it to you to share with the public. It's not a secret. They want you to see what they are doing. And as a journalist, are you able to confirm the timestamps? Because, you know, when you get a video from somebody, you should be able to confirm when and where the video was taken. You do those checks before you publish, I'm sure.
Exactly. That is what we are trying to do. But as it stands now, if a video is taken yesterday and is shared with me today, I can only see today's receivables. But in terms of, I need to do a reverse imaging to know when exactly these videos were taken and then authenticate the timestamps and everything. So that we are working on.
Wonderful. So you are... thank you. Which means that throughout the week we'll be getting updates on this from you, since you are in direct touch with the team.
Exactly the case. We'll try our very possible best to be in touch with them. And if they are also open and giving us all the details, if there are excesses that they decide not to report, that because we are not with them, we can't have those information. One good thing is if the media is with them, they are quite checked with how they also operate and go about their activities. But if we are not with them with the cameras, it is obvious that, well, we can only rely on the information they give us, which we can't really do much about in terms of knowing if there are excesses, if indeed they are letting others off the hook, and if there are other things that they are also not.
Fair enough. But I'm sure because you started with them and they send information, clearly the rapport has been developed, and hopefully they would want to grant some interviews to put in context what they are doing, because the government announced this and they went with you guys on the first day. But it will also be good for us to get a sense of their strategy and overall plan, if not necessarily what they are going to do in the long term, even to assess the first few days of what they've done. I think it will be important for them to speak to us. So, Fred, thank you for your time, and get well. Get some this thing. What do you call it? Some hot beverage and drink, and you'll be well soon.
Thank you.
Fred Duho. I've worked with many Freds. So I've had Fred Chidi and Fred Jabano, and I have Fred Duho. So I always have a Fred in my team. In fact, I've had 4 Freds. So there's Fred Kojo-Ajiman. Yeah. So Kojo Ajiman is called Fred.
Yeah, Kojo Ajiman is Fred.
So Fred Chidi, my first or second news editor, Fred Chidi, and then you had Fred Jabano, who came from Choice FM and has stayed with us ever since. And then Fred Kojo-Ajiman, who used to be a teacher, who's now left the system. And now, so I think Fred is a good name for journalists. So if you have a child who you want to do media and you're looking for a name, maybe you should get Fred. No, I'm serious. And the other Freds in other media houses too. You know, so Fred is a very good name for journalists. But just like some can be Alfred, some can be Godfred, some can be Manfred. And there are all kinds of Freds. Yeah. But they don't call Godfreds Fred.
No. We call us Godfred.
Americans have a very funny way of shortening people's names. So Frederick, they call him Dick.
Yeah.
Yes. So by you, Godfred.
William is Bill.
Bill. Yeah. But Fred is usually Frederick.
Yeah. Then you have the Tims of the Timothys.
Yes. The Americans like short forms, and they have their own. There's this name Douglas, Doug. You know, they always want to use. They only use short forms. Anyway. So yeah.
You know, Donald,
talk to me.
You know what would excite me?
Tell me.
As they are doing this operation, 23, you have a checklist in front of you.
Yes.
23 something, 16 that, 17 that. What I really also want to hear, then from the police, intelligence, security side, they're also telling me that we have arrested Mr., Mrs., Miss, so and so.
They said they arrested 9 people.
No, they arrested 9 small boys who are on the mining pit.
Yeah.
We want the big fish.
Yeah.
So they can't catch one.
Yeah.
I mean, this exasperation, I always express it. But, so they can't catch one.
Yeah.
One. You see?
You mean the big people?
The big people. Because, you see, we also make this about irresponsible, even sometimes legal mining. They might have the license, but they are doing irresponsible what? Mining. So those people who have the license and are doing the irresponsible mining, nobody has been shut down, nobody has been fined, nobody has been caught. So all the people who have the licenses and are doing the mining are doing responsible mining. Is that what it is?
That's a fair question.
Have we ramped up the number of inspectors to go out there and check these things in the past week and a half? You see, that's why I'm saying that I'm not really buying this because we've seen it before. The other thing
is it not a question of sustainability? So he says they'll do 2 weeks and then regroup and come again. So if, for example, this kind of thing continues and unstopped for the rest of the year, will there not be some success? So maybe like they do 2 weeks, maybe break for a few days, do another 2 weeks with the same level of intensity. Would that not improve the situation?
Bernard, the people who do this ones, who sponsor these things, fund these things, what is 18 chamfans you went?
33 grinders, 27 water pumps, 23 chamfans, 3 chamfan boards, 1 motorbike.
You haven't caused any
Chicken
damage.
change
You
for you.
haven't caused any damage. Bernard, in the year that we seized 1,000 excavators, put a moratorium on the import of excavators into this country. We imported 500 excavators. In the year where you were not supposed to be able to bring in excavators into Ghana, 500
excavators
were brought in.
Are excavators used only for mining?
No, it's not. But the rule at the time was there is a moratorium on the importation of excavators.
Yeah,
they did not tell us that
Yeah.
you can bring in one for road and leave one for mining. They said don't bring it yet. That year, when we checked the logs, they brought in 500. You know how much one of those things cost?
It's very expensive.
And you say you've 13 what? Grinders and some chamfan. We need the other things. We need to hear the updates on the other things that actually will be new. Which we actually think, which the data shows are the big ones. The financiers.
Yeah.
Go after the financiers. The licensed ones who are destroying the earth. Revoke their licenses. How many licenses have been revoked?
Very good point.
How many licenses have been revoked or will be revoked? Or the assumption is that everybody is doing responsible mining with the license. It's not possible.
It's not true. Yeah.
So we will do this.
You are not convinced.
Bernard, it's not that I'm not convinced. We have seen it before. Like I said, we have seen it 7 times. This whole cycle that we are going through, this country has done it once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Which operation have you not reported on before? From operation whatever to this one.
From Atta Mills' time
to this one.
Actually, the first
changed?
The first galamsey report properly, Mills had gone to a site or something when he was doing his rounds in 2011, which was when there was a story around galamsey, and then 2016 it revived again, and then from 2017 it's been every day. So, well, the people who are in charge of the program, I'm sure they are listening.
Yeah, we need the other side.
We'll read a few more comments as we move this right along. 054-998-6996. Nathan?
Yes, this one says, I agree with Godfred that this operation with the military is just eye service camouflaging for media optics and public deceit. And those associated with government apparatchiks will be left off the hook. And he adds that I'm disappointed. Okay, I'm always disappointed in the posture of organized labor we would have been happier and proud with our country and confidence reposed, but it's a lost fight now. That's coming from King Kweku George, who's sending us a message from Surrey in the UK.
All right.
Somebody's asking, will the LI revocation save the Achimota forest? Rich from Tema.
Achimota forest was not meant for mining. So this LI is about... So yeah, I don't know. We probably have to find out. Let's go on.
A few more. This one says, the military galamsey fight is just a show. It will amount to nothing. The illegal miners get a hint when the soldiers are coming. They vacate the sites, wait for the soldiers to come and leave. Then they return to continue. Let's face facts. Kwesi Aqua from Sakumono sends that. This one says, come to Chebi right now, just behind the entire Abusco campus. Mining is going on with impunity. Says it's terrible here. Hey. Okay, this one is a TikTok link. So
it's not something you want to go into.